Sean here. iRacing, Climbing the Clouds, Mount Washington Hill Climb, available now. Check it out.
One year ago, this was the site of the first ever race to the summit. And 1 year later, we are ready to do it again. Christian Steenberg was fastest up the mountain 1 year ago. Who will be fastest as we go racing again up the Mount Washington Auto Road? And we welcome you to Racecraft TV's coverage of the 2023 Race to the Summit. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Joining me in the booth tonight is Dane Baird. And Dane, we're about to take 16 rallycross machines up this hill climb, and it's very, very tricky. Whether it's concrete, whether it's asphalt, whether it's dirt, we have all different types of racing surfaces here that all these drivers are going to have to tame.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I didn't realize that. I know that the clocks went back last night. That almost caught me out with this broadcast. I didn't realize we'd skipped ahead to 2023. That's news to me. But yeah, it's great to be here. Missed out last time. I did have a go at qualifying. I very quickly gave up. I don't know how the guys that we've got going out here today actually have the patience to make their way up the mountain. It is so long and so tricky to not make a single mistake because it's so narrow. One mistake here, Josh, and very likely you're off the side of the mountain.
Well, as we get ready for the 2022 version of the Race to the Summit, we take a look at our event format. Of course, we mentioned 16 drivers, and we'll take a look at those 16 names here in just a moment. But each of them will get 3 attempts, drivers being released in about 1 to 2 minute increments, so they're not expected to reach each other on the hill climb. Of course, this is not a race against each other. It's a race against the clock, so we want to get those times in. We're expecting a little bit over 5 minutes per each time, so they'll be released in about 1 to 2 minutes per run. But let's take a look at the competitors that we have for this year of the Race to the Summit. It is, of course, 2021 provisional competitors first, with Christian Steenberg, Tommy Makinen, Josh Fox, Josh Edmondson, and Connor Parisi grabbing those provisional spots. Then our 2022 qualifiers with Adam Alderton, Bo Albert, Justin Robichaux, Jacob Rafas, David Schofield, Garrett Maines, Robbie Swan, Toby Ward, Renato Postigo, Tyler Campbell, and unfortunately Christian Rafas Lindo not able to join us tonight, so it'll be Trevor Teal that is the next in from qualifying. He'll be joining us in the 3rd qualifying spot. And Dane, there's a lot of interesting competitors on it. Of course, Christian Steenberg was the fastest up the mountain last year, but I mean, Edmondson, Fox, Makinen, Parisi, Alderton, Albert. I mean, these are names that in these rallycross machines are very dangerous on the track, and I think they're going to be dangerous running up the hill climb and running against the clock.
Yeah, obviously they are the most familiar drivers, some of the most familiar drivers on the service in these machines, so they definitely have that as somewhat of an advantage, making their way onto the hill climb. But yeah, we've seen it. It's very, very tricky to make your way up the mountain. It is long. There's no pace notes or anything like that, so they've just had to be going over and over again, learning it step by step. Similar to sort of learning the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but with fewer markers to sort of know where you are. It feels, for me at least, quite a couple of the sections here feel very similar, but are very different. If you make that mistake of thinking you're at a different place, you can make your life very difficult as the drivers just making their way out for what looks like a couple of test runs here, but starts off nice and open. You think, oh, this should be fine, and it very quickly narrows up.
Yeah, the drivers are working on a little bit of a warm-up, waiting on our race control to also load back into the sims. So as we sit here and wait, of course, remind you of last season or last year of the Mount Washington Hill Climb that we had here on Racecraft TV, and it was one of the first special events that we've done with the rallycross cars, and one of the first hill climbs on the sim that, of course, it was right after the Mount Washington Auto Road was brought to us on the sim, and taking those rallycross cars up the hill. I mean, we had a lot of great competitors and a lot of mistakes as well, which you mentioned, Dane. It's very easy to make a mistake on this course as well, with a ton of asphalt leading up the mountain, then a harsh change into the dirt, which on these rallycross cars they're used to, but if you're taking any other vehicle up, that's going to be your main trouble place. But I think all the tight trees in this first sector is really going to be where these drivers are going to run into problems.
Yeah, I mean, when they first came out, people were taking pretty much, I think every single car on the service had to go up the hill at some point by somebody on the service. And yeah, we saw quite a few people taking like open wheel cars up there, and then they reached that dirt section, and then those slick tires are not doing a lot for you. So rallycross cars definitely better suited to the dirt section. Going up the hill, very slippery dirt section. It even feels more slippery than the actual dirt in rallycross, which is already really slippery. So yeah, really tricky to get the car slowed down for the tight corner right at the end of the dirt section as well. But before that, you've got a lot of tarmac twisting up the mountain. You've got trees on either side. You've got most of this of the hill climb here. It's got a cliff on the one side of the circuit, and that just makes it really difficult. You run slightly wide, your wheel falls over the edge of the cliff, as you can see there, and then yeah, off the rest of the car is going to follow.
Still waiting on our first of our 16 to start running up the hill. The first 5 are going to be David Schofield, Justin Robichaud, Trevor Teal, Renato Postigo, and Francois Martel. And then we'll go down from there with Josh Fox, Toby Ward, Aiden Irvine, Josh Edmondson, Tyler Campbell, Adam Alderton, Danny Aish, Garrett Maines, Robbie Swan, Jacob Foss, and Christian Steenberg as we get off and away. David Schofield, first of our drivers to make a run up the mountain.
Yep, you'll see it's very twisty, left, right, up in the first part of this course. And then a tricky left-hander that kind of comes up a little bit quickly if you're not expecting it, can catch you out into a tight right-left section. The driver's making their way up now, and yeah, it is very, very tricky to get these cars through in one piece in that opening section. A lot of casualties when you're first driving the circuit, and then it's so bumpy in this braking zone for this right-hander here, Josh.
Of course, as of right now, we can take a look at that current lap, and for David Schofield, nobody's put in a time yet. He's the first one to start making their run up the mountain, but with Schofield now crossing through the first sector, and you can see just how bumpy it really is. Even with all the asphalt, this is more of a road type instead of the dirt that we're going to see once the dirt and gravel, I should say, once they start reaching the summit of the mountain. 1 minute down for Schofield, and probably about 4 minutes to go as he almost goes a bit wide and off into the trees.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. If you go slightly wide, you lock up a brake, you snag a brake, because it is so easy to do. Over these bumps into the braking zone, you can very easily get all 4 tires up into the air, and then your brake's not going to do a whole lot except lock up once you land again. So very easy to get that slightly wrong, and if you do get it slightly wrong, inches off the circuit, you've got these trees ready to catch your car, and they do really catch the cars hard. You can see jumping through the left-hander here. You've really got to slow the car down, maybe more than if it was a flat course, because the bumps just push the car further out wide.
Well, our next driver also starting to work their way up the mountain. This is Justin Robichaud that is working his way up. And of course, a handful of our drivers giving us their perspective of where they're going to be racing in their sim rigs. And how about this view? We're going to get the GoPro from Garrett Maines. He said he's got me today, but I like this view from Justin Robichaud here, Dane. You can see the handbrake, you can see the shifter, and you can see a part of each of his triple monitors set up, and even a 4th one up top just for a little extra data.
Yeah, looks like he's got a Discord up there, up on the top, which is always important, but I personally would find that very distracting. I've raced most of my time with 3 monitors, but I had 4. Oh, maybe a tap on the trees there as he goes a little bit wide, rear end stepping out a bit there, but yeah, the top monitor, if I've got too much going on up there, it actually is a bit distracting for me. So it is interesting to see the differences between drivers there. But yeah, you can just see how much on their screens you can see the car moving about.
Robichaud continuing his run up the mountain in his Subaru WRX STI. 3rd to start is Trevor Teal, and off he goes. The first of a pretty good sized field of Ford Fiestas here, Dane. We've heard the Ford Fiesta, the shorter wheelbase. It's better for kind of point-to-point turning and very, very quick movements. Do you think it's going to be important running up the hill?
Yeah, we've already seen the Subaru is usually the preferred car in this class of car, but for places where you have to turn a little bit tighter and tighter corners, places like Charlotte, Rallycross course, and obviously the mountain as well, sometimes it's beneficial to have that shorter wheelbase. It just allows the car to turn slightly easier. So a couple drivers opting for that, and it's interesting to see the Fiesta and the VW both have slightly shorter wheelbases, so some drivers prefer that. But I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. The cars are pretty pretty well balanced in the rallycross class. There's not much has changed in the cars in a while, so iRacing team have had plenty of time to sort out the balance of performance. We're nearing to the end of the run, just come out of the dirt section. You might have just seen it as he made his way on to shop, but up through what is one of the most tricky parts, because instead of trees, you've now got rocks lining the road, and those rocks can stick out into the onto the road a little bit there.
Very, very treacherous as he goes to the summit for David Schofield. Renato Pastigo going to be the next one to start his run. Another Ford Fiesta will begin through the opening sector. And that is the fourth driver to take their time up the hill climb. And nearing the end is David Schofield. He's coming through the final couple of corners. Large rocks on the side. Where is he going to end up? This will be the first time into the leaderboard. He's going to go up the final couple of small hills, small inclines, as making his way almost to the summit as well is second driver to take time, Justin Robichaux. Remember, still 2 attempts for each of these drivers remaining, and seems like first driver to go up the hill. We will have a successful climb, but it depends on where David Schofield is going to put that banker lap in. And so treacherous now, Dan. They don't want to make a mistake in the last couple of corners. Schofield almost goes wide, but nearing the final checkpoint, there's Barney the Flag Man with the checkered flag and a 5:07.35 as treacherous movements are going to grab Justin Robichaux.
Ooh.
He just went up and over and out of his attempt.
Wow. Very easy to do, especially on that last section. As you can see, the rocks everywhere. Oh, is it on the dirt section? As it looks like we have got a replay now on the dirt section. You can see how bumpy it is. And, oh, getting the car slowed down for that right-hander at the end. That's where it got him. And yeah, off the side he went, and there's no getting back up there. It's still dirt on that slant. It's a very steep hill. Yeah, getting back up onto the main course, it's not going to happen. So takes a tow, and he's going to have to wait for his second attempt. That's something that I think the drivers are definitely going to look for, is just to get a lap, a time on the board. Get one on the board. The first attempt, it doesn't have to be the quickest in the world, but as long as you've got a time there, you're going to be nearer to the top, because you can assume that there's going to be at least a couple mistakes along today.
5:09.143 fastest currently from David Schofield. Second runner Justin Robichaux not able to make it all the way up the hill, as Trevor Thiel has about 2 minutes to go as he goes his way through the dirt. Francois Martel also beginning his run. He's working his way through the middle portion of the first sector now, as Josh Fox in the Williams Esports Subaru is released as well. He's going to begin his run up the mountain. One of the drivers from the Rallycross World Championship that kind of, I think, honestly, Dane, one of the best to really never get too many wins in the win column. He's been successful, but definitely not the feature race wins to speak of when it comes to his Rallycross career.
Yeah, incredibly quick driver. Has been there for years and years and years. Had a lot of success in the WRC games, actually. Did a lot in the actual rallying, which may well help him out here today. I mean, he's won loads over on the WRC side of esports, especially in this sort of multi-surface category of racing. This is exactly what he's got here. So no pace notes for him, but definitely learning a route like this is something that he's done plenty of times. So definitely one that you got to watch out for here today. Making good progress through this part. Slap of the grass on the outside, but these rallycross cars, they're not going to get upset by that as much as any other car on the surface. Any other car on the surface, you go around a corner like that, you touch the grass, you're going around, that's not going to happen on these cars.
Trevor Thiel on a 72, almost up to the top of the mountain now. He's not going to go faster than David Schofield as the 5:09.143 goes into the rear view mirror. And still with a couple more corners to go for Trevor Thiel. Next up, Toby Ward, just released by Race Control at the bottom of the hill. Let's see what the first banker lap time will be for Trevor Thiel. Remember, still 2 more attempts for each of our drivers as Thiel comes across the line. 5:29.117. That'll put him provisionally into second place, but with 21.2 seconds separating first and second. We'll see how long that is going to last, as Renato Pastigo going to be the next one to come across the finish line in that number 69 entry. Another Ford Fiesta chosen as he will put in his first of 3 lap times at a 4:42. Now, this might be close to Schofield's time here, Dane, as he comes through the last few corners.
He's got to really send it through these last couple of corners. He's got a few corners left to go. But it's the last few corners that I found that I've messed up on this place the most, because the rocks really start to encroach on the asphalt, and you see them coming around these final couple of corners here. You want to take that flat out, but if you carry slightly too much speed through there, you've got the rocks right on the exit there. Cross the line. Oh, it's so close. I think he's lost out by 2 seconds.
It will be just about 2 seconds. 5:11, 7:41 the time that goes in for Renato Postigo. Next up to cross the finish line, Francois Martel, as he gets some air. A lot of elevation change and a lot of bumps on all of the asphalt that is on this course. And as he runs up the hill for Francois Martel, we'll see what time he is going to be able to knock down, as Toby Ward was released. Aiden Irvine also beginning his run up the mountain. He is still in the first sector going through the asphalt sections, but at the top, Francois Martel tracking purple now goes back to green as he works his way through the second to last corner. He's gonna need to be full throttle. You put all 4 wheels to the ground as he gets almost a bit of a wheelie there on 3 wheels for the moment as Martel gets up the hill and across the finish line. I don't think it's going to be enough, Dane, to get to the top spot as 5 seconds goes there. He's gonna have to gas it up.
It might just be. It's close. It's very close.
He got it.
Did he?
5:07.484. Oh no, 5:09.854 final time, and he misses out by 4/10.
Oh, it seems like the times just add maybe just about 2 seconds potentially onto the end of the time every time they cross the line. Oh, it was very close though. Very, very close. 4/10 is the closest that we've had so far. There's another Fiesta. Edmondson. He's making his way up through here as well. The Fiesta just looks faster because it's so small. It looks like it's zipping along a little bit quicker than the Subarus.
And how about this view inside the sim rig for Josh Edmondson, the pedal cam. And we're getting to see that fancy footwork working up the mountain, which really is true when you're going up the Mount Washington Auto Road, Dane, because you can do so much with the steering, but especially all-wheel drive in these rallycross cars. You and me both know from experience, when you slam the throttle on the asphalt, it does not want to turn. You get a ton of understeer with all-wheel drive.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone who's driven the Audi GTO car will know as well. I know that's a very small amount of people on iRacing. I will take that as well. But yeah, 4-wheel drive cars, yeah, they do not turn when you put the power down. Also, LMP1, we had this problem when I was driving LMP1 for a while. You put the hybrid on. The hybrid's on the front wheel, so if you're accelerating out of a corner, you throw on the hybrid, the car stops turning and you just go straight. So yeah, it's very tricky to get the power down. You got to get that footwork perfect, and that was a great camera shot that we just saw there from Emerson.
And we have Tyler Campbell as well in the soup aisle at his local Walmart. And by the way, Josh Fox, 5:03.623, sets the best time to the tune of about 6 seconds in that number 12. A wonderful run from the Williams Esports driver. We'll see how much that is going to stay, as Francois Martel came across the line to go third, and then Josh Fox comes across, then Toby Ward going to be the next one to come across in his Ford Fiesta. Couple of corners left for him. It'll be Toby Ward, then Aiden Irvine, then Edmondson, then Campbell coming across the line, and still waiting on Adam Alderton. That is going to be the next driver to be released down at the bottom of the hill. And then we will have Aish, Maines, Swan, Rafas, and Steenberg left in the first round. Then after Steenberg is released, about a minute after that, we're going to begin the second round of runs up the mountain. And it'll be the same 16 drivers in the same order. Everybody getting 3 attempts, and first attempts getting put in now is across the line for Toby Ward. It's not going to be enough to go top of the board. 5:21.065. As Josh Edmondson, working his way up the mountain, is tracking, well, was tracking purple for a moment. A small mistake there, and gets back on the gas. He will go back to tracking purple as we look back in with the feet of Josh Edmondson, trying to see how he's using that fancy footwork to get up the mountain. And right now, just about full throttle, a little bit of feathering as he goes up and over all of these harsh bumps.
And onto the dirt he's going to go now, and very tricky. You have got these little poles with flags on them that actually are quite helpful, especially through this section where the track drops away every now and then. You can still sort of see where you're going, but you're just feathering the throttle, not too much on the brakes. Now trying to slow down. There's a right-hand kink here, but it's not flat. It looks like it could be, but it's not. Over a couple of crests now, you've got no idea where you're going if you're going around here the first time, but Edmondson's not. Gets that car slowed down nicely through the bushes, cutting down some of the foliage around the circuit, and then back onto the tarmac and get the power down nice and early there. And then it looks nice and green for now, but around the left-hander he's about to go, and then it all becomes very barren.
Still tracking purple up the mountain as Aiden Irvine comes across the line to go P5. Not going to be enough to set the best time, but Edmondson down to green now as he works his way through the last couple of corners. This seems to be Dayton where it can really make or break your lap. There's a lot of opportunity to pick up a ton of speed through here, but you really got to be careful because one wrong mistake, you're into the rocks and your lap is over.
It's so risky. It's so risky to carry slightly too much speed through here, which is why I think at least on this first run, we're not going to see too many drivers making that mistake. I think they are going to take this section quite cautiously, just because they know better than anyone how treacherous this place is. They probably put more laps than anyone else in the service on this course. And yeah, making your way through here. Earlier on, we saw a couple of drivers dipping a wheel in the grass. There is no dipping a wheel in the grass at this part of the track. It's literally you dip a wheel, you hit rocks, and that is pretty much your run over. If not, they're at least turning you around, and it's very difficult to get back through the final corner here, and then through the right-hander across the line. It's going to be quick.
5 minutes comes in as provisional. What's the final time going to be? 5:01.370, and by 2 seconds, Edmondson goes to the top of the board. Tyler Campbell gonna be the next one to come across the line, as Adam Alderton was also released down at the bottom of the hill. Same thing with Danny Aish, as we'll go on board for the moment with Adam Alderton, who starts his run up the hill at the moment, and you can see on his cam he is focused just like he always is in the Racecraft Rallycross, and a lot of great results from Alderton in the last season.
Yeah, definitely one to watch if and when the Rallycross World Championship does come back around. The qualifiers, definitely someone to keep your eye on. Very quick in Racecraft Rallycross, which has kind of just been the home of Rallycross drivers since the World Championship Series didn't return this season. But yeah, coming around through this part always caught me out when I was driving around here, because so much grass that you can clip, as he's almost hit that verge there, just clipping it ever so slightly. But so many blind corners that it's very difficult to get the hang of, and difficult to slow the car down enough but not too much for. Because obviously it's all well and good slowing the car down enough that you get round the corner, but these guys want to go as quickly through there as possible. And with the amount of bumps there are, the margin for error is tiny.
Tyler Campbell working his way up the mountain. It will not be good enough to go to the top of the board. He'll go about middle of the way up, and comes across the line, and he is going to wreck past the line. 5:17.963 as just released at the bottom, Garrett Maines. And here we go, Dane, some of the best shots that we will ever get, because not only do we have the GoPro, but we've also got the pedal cam from Garrett Maines. This is awesome. And a bit of a throwback paint scheme with the Ford Fiesta on there as well.
Oh yeah, I do love a good shot of that Fiesta there. I think the two Garretts were the only people in the iRacing World Championship that ever ran the Fiesta, so it was always easy to see who you were watching. And that Smithfield, yep, we saw that quite often up near the front. But yeah, looking through here, bit of an odd one. He's got his brake and his clutch inverted, but his throttle pedal is not. And I don't think I've ever seen that before, but it seems to be working quite well for him in that Fiesta. You can see how much he's moving around in his own seat with the forces that the wheel's putting in, and just trying to concentrate so hard, get the force to the wheel. His head's shaking about all over the place.
He'll continue to try and run up the mountain as released down at the bottom. Robbie Swan. Next to be released will be Jacob Rafas, as Mains continues his run up across the line. Adam Alderton, and it'll be a 5:07.838. He's stuck right after the end, as well as next up the mountain, or next to cross the line, I should say, will be Danny Aish. That is running up in the number 33. 10 drivers have come across the line. We have released 11. Only driver not to make it all the way up has been Justin Robichaux. And we will see if any of these other drivers are going to have mistakes coming up the mountain. Jacob Rafos just released. RX1 reigning champion Dane, and quite possibly the rising star of everything dirt road in 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. Got into the Rallycross World Championship last year, did fantastically in that, and then no more Rallycross World Championship this season. He went over to the Off-Road Pro Trucks, got into that World Championship too, did fantastically in that as well, and then obviously complete domination is the only word you can use to describe his campaign in Racecraft Rallycross this last season. So yeah, really odd. Bug on the time zone. Looks like the zeros have all disappeared, but yeah, he's just absolutely fantastic and definitely one you've got to watch out for today. Qualified through his performance last year, but yeah, he is definitely one of the favorites. Here is all of the cones he decides to wipe out. Seen all the drivers take a couple of them, but he's had a problem with every single cone out there, and he's taken them all with him.
Garrett Mains continuing to work his way up the mountain, as now we have fully released all of our first round of drivers, as Danny Aish comes across the line. 5:31.409, he goes P11. He's still waiting on Mains, Swan, Rafos, and now Christian Steenberg, who was the fastest driver in last year's hill climb. We'll see if he can do 2 in a row as Mains goes through the final couple of corners. He's going to need to put in a good lap time here, Dane, if he wants to go to the top of the board. As we take a look at his current lap time, 4:25. He's only got about 30 seconds to get across the line if he wants to have the fastest time heading out of round 1.
He hasn't got a lot more of the track to get through either, but it is it's a close one to try and call, because it's difficult to sort of tell exactly how long they've got to go. It's not sort of, oh, they've got 5 corners and all the distances are measured nicely for us. It's sort of a little bit arbitrary. Through this left-hand, there he goes, getting all 4 wheels up in the air for a moment there, and he's going to come through the right-hander to cross the line. I think he might have it here. He very well might have it. Is he under 5 minutes?
Yes.
God, just 5:0.3, 5 flat, 3/10 off that 5-minute barrier.
That was a blazing fast time from Garrett Mains, and very possible we're going to crack under 5 minutes again, as Robbie Swan going up the hill makes a bit of a mistake, hits the rocks on the edge, does not end his lap, but that is going to severely hinder him as he continues his run up.
He got a little bit wide there as there was a kink in the circuit, on the road even, and yeah, just a cliff. He's caught the edge of the cliff with his right rear tire. Got lucky, it could have dragged him straight off, but
that lap time, and it's going to be about 4:53 here. Definitely not going to be fastest for the fastest time, but we'll see if he is going to be somewhere inside of the top 10 heading out of the first round. And we'll check in with Jacob Rafos, who has gone off the edge of the mountain. Ooh. That is not what Rafos wanted or needed across the line for Robbie Swan. 5:11.344. Let's see what happened here to Jacob Rafos. It was in the middle sector. Dane looks like he might have made some contact with a tree here.
Well, let's see. He's got a left hand coming up, and then through the right. You can cut over that on the inside a bit. Oh, he just got carried way too much speed. I think the car caught some air, and yeah, it's not turning when you catch some air, so off to the side he went, and he's got that well and truly wedged between 2 trees there. He is not going to be going any further. As off go the cones once again there.
Only one driver left here in round number 1, and that is going to be Christian Steenberg. As we get the second runners coming up. Second attempt for David Schofield. He leads the group of drivers that are the second runners, with also being released Justin Robichaux, Trevor Teal as well coming up as Schofield continues his run. Christian Steenberg, I mentioned, the fastest driver, and we never heard of Christian Steenberg on a Racecraft TV broadcast before last year's hill climb, and I don't think we've seen him since. So he just comes into the Race to the Summit, lays down the best time, and leaves for the year.
We have to go and check because there's always a hosted session or two with random cars that people like to throw up, and I always like joining in. I think one of them might be Mr. Steenberg here because yeah, definitely super quick around here. I've never heard of the name before last year's Race to the Summit, and I haven't seen it since. You're right, I literally have not seen it in anything. So yeah, a bit of an odd one, but incredibly quick around this place in particular. So we will see if he's going to continue that success from last year into this one.
An iRacing version of the Stig. He just comes in, lays down the best lap, and then leaves. I mean,
no one knows who he is.
I fully respect it from Christian Steenberg as he works his way now into the dirt and dipping a little bit of that wheel off the edge. And of course, four-wheel drive, you can do that, Dane. It's not the best run as Steenberg will go top of the board. I just realized we were in a complete replay there the whole time. But Steenberg fastest 4:59.216 as we continue the run up with Justin Robichaux just getting released. He works his way up. Renato Postigo, Trevor Teal also released as it looks like second running for David Schofield. Not going to be enough to get onto the board. He ends up dipping off the track at one point.
Yeah, as we've seen, very easy to do. We've seen probably one of the best drivers on the circuit today. Rafos go off. So yeah, anyone can do that. It is so easy to make the tiniest of mistakes. It just has the biggest of outcomes.
And remember, Robichaux did not put down a lap time in the first attempt because he was one of the drivers that also went off the track. And
right here,
in this section, let's see what Robichaux is going to do through here. Is he going to continue to go 110% through here, or is he going to try and maybe lift a little bit more? He goes aggressive through these corners, getting all the way to the edge, but he is going to continue to survive his way up the mountain.
It was right here that he went off last time, and he gets it well slowed down. You can see all the way to the inside. That's back onto the tarmac now, and we have not seen Justin make it past this point. So this is all uncharted territory as far as today goes for him. So we'll see how he's going to do.
And as Robichaux works his way up, Francois Martel also getting released down at the bottom of the mountain. Trevor Teal through the middle sector, 13th place in his last run, 5:30.410. And the 72 goes up the mountain in his Ford Fiesta. About a perfect split down the middle in the field. Half Ford Fiestas, about half Subarus. Is Teal going to go slow through this middle portion of the hill climb and very tight corners as Martel was tracking purple for a moment. Robichaux gonna hopefully complete the lap here. He goes into one of the hardest portions of the track, but is tracking a relatively good lap time if he's able to make it all the way up, and it looks like he will here.
Yep, not too long to go. A couple corners left. The part that always catches me out when I'm going down, back down the mountain. It's very steep up when you're going up, and then it's very steep coming down, and a lot of blind parts of this place, and coming up. Couple corners to go, couple lefts, and then a right at the very end. Oh, he goes off! Is he going to avoid the rocks? He has avoided the rocks. He's going to be able to carry on going. He's not going to do anything for the time, but at least he gets one on the board.
He goes off the track, and it is not a qualifying session. It is a practice session, so that time will count, and it will be a 5:21.946, and that's honestly a little painful to see, Dane, because I know if he would have made it without that mistake, that would have been a really good lap time, because with the mistake, he was still in the 520s.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Could have gained quite a few places. If you look up ahead, Irvan and Campbell both on 5:17, so could have gained 3-4 spots there without that mistake. And yeah, very sad to see, but just getting towards the end of the time section, and yeah, you get a little bit desperate, I think, to reach that line as quickly as possible. Here's Teal coming up towards one of the slowest parts of the entire hill climb, back up very steep part of the hill climb here.
And he'll come across the line with a time that is going to be roughly about the same time that he had in the first attempt. Is it going to be faster is the big question. as we still have Postigo, Ward, Martel, and now Josh Fox making their way up the mountain. Teal will have a slower lap time than his first attempt. Let's see what it is as he works his way through the last couple of corners for Trevor Teal. Next to cross the finish line will be Renato Postigo, as we have 4 drivers now working their way up the mountain, as Teal will finish that lap time and on 2 wheels across the line, 5:21.954. He'll keep the same position in 14th, but he is not going to improve as Postigo gets up to the summit. Let's see where his lap time is currently at, and it's at a 4:36. This could be a really, really good lap time here, Dane, but he doesn't have a lot of time to come across the line if he wants to get into that top 5.
Yeah, definitely with a possibility of getting a quicker time than the first attempt. Got to get really committed send through this part here and not staying too long on the brake. And then about 10 seconds left, and I'm not too sure actually. I think it might be a little bit slower than last time, perhaps, as through the left hand, a couple lefts where we've just seen a Robichaux go off, and it's going to be still a couple seconds slower on this second attempt.
Postigo crosses the line, and it's going to go faster. 5:08.423. Seems like Mount Washington Auto Road not being liked by our ATVO timing, but we'll try our best to see where they're at going up the mountain. But Francois Martel is going to be the next one to come across the line at 5:09.584, the fastest lap time for him in his first attempt. He sits currently P8. Can he improve in his Subaru? Couple more corners to go for him before he reaches the finish line. He's tracking really well, and we'll see what it's going to be with 2 left-handers left to go. He's only a couple of tenths off of David Schofield, who sits in 7th for the next driver that he needs to reach on the leaderboard. Across the line, he'll come after this left-hander, and the next one coming up. Where will he sit crossing the line? There's the finish line. What's the time? 5:09.584 to beat. 5:08.224 for Francois Martel. Good enough for 6th place.
A couple drivers now really close together on time. You've got Irvine and Campbell separated by 3 tenths. You've got Ward, Robichaux, and Teal all on the 21s. Robichaux and Teal separated by less than 100th of a second. So that's incredible after just over 5 minutes of running on the road. And here comes Josh Fox up towards the final couple of parts of this climb and through the right hand. And now a little bit of a straight section. You can rest for maybe 2 seconds before you get back onto the brakes through this right hander. And then up the hill, a little bit of a twist. Back on the brakes again, so you don't launch yourself over there. You can see from this camera angle, there is nothing on the other side of that, of the asphalt. It's just a drop.
Up, up, up goes Josh Fox. Josh Edmondson is going to begin his lap as well. Aiden Irvine and Toby Ward still working their way up. Ward is going to be the next one to cross the line after Josh Fox. Where's Fox going to slot in? 5:01.287. He'll jump Josh Edmondson, who, as he works his way up the mountain, we take a look at the footwork again with the pedal cam from the 58. And now remember when Edmondson came across the line for his first attempt, he was fastest. Now after everything's said and done, he is in 4th. Can he improve on a 5:01.370? How much more do all these drivers have in the tank?
Yeah, obviously we know it was fastest last year, up at the top, 4:59. Was that a banker lap? Was that him being cautious just to get a lap down? Or was that as much as Steamboat's going to be able to give us? We do not know. So yeah, it's definitely going to be unknown territory in the second runs, and I think the third runs where we're really going to sort of have an idea of where the limit is, and then it'll just be how close to that limit can they get.
Working his way across the line here will be Toby Ward in his Ford Fiesta. Let's see what the lap time will be for Ward. A 5:21.065 first time across the line. Couple of left-handers left up. He is 3 seconds off of Tyler Campbell, who, by the way, also just started his lap coming up the mountain. Looks like Aiden Irvine running into an issue up the mountain as well. We'll take a look at what happened to him in just a moment. But across the line for Ward, he'll jump all the way up to P9 at a 5:11.318. Great lap time for him, but not so great a running for Aiden Irvine. Let's see what happened to the number 259. As he was working his way up the mountain and wasn't all the way up to all the rocks, still had a bit of trees here. Did he run into an issue in one of these trees? Coming up and over, hits the grass on the outside. That's not where the danger came in. Was it another victim of the dirt section here, Dane? We've already saw it once before.
Yeah, it is so tricky. Almost gets off and oh.
Did he abandon that lap time, or did the sim force him to abandon that lap time?
Has he disconnected? That was very odd. There was no mistake made. I think he went slightly wide, but I didn't see a reason for the car to reset. Oh, that's a reason for the car to reset, though. Campbell getting it all wrong. Lips over the outside there, over the cliff, and back around the car comes. It's the trees, and that's the second attempt over for Tyler Campbell. Here we'll see another replay of it.
Coming through very, very tight portion of this course. And in another instance, we saw with Jacob Rafos that one tire wrong, and you're running into issues. He was able to not get pushed off on that mistake. What happened on the second one? And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, hit to the trees, and that's about it for Tyler Campbell in his second attempt.
Just lost it on the bumps halfway around the corner, hits that crest over the corner, just spun the car around. Too much rotation going on when he got all four wheels up, and that rotation kept happening whilst he was in the air. Lands sideways, and there's only one place that car is going, and straight into the trees. And very unfortunate there for Campbell. Not going to improve on that 5:17.9. It's currently got him in 12th position.
Now Josh Edmondson tracking purple. Where's he going to go? As you see a disappointed Tyler Campbell there. We'll take a look at the pedal cam from Edmondson in the 58. Has to beat a 4:59.216 if he wants to go to the top of the board, but if he wants to improve on his attempts, it'll be a 5:01.370 that he is going to target for. Crossing the finish line here. Checkered flag waved. What's it going to be? 5:01.504. He misses out on improvement by 0.2.
Crazy stuff there. Cut really fine with Barney the Flagman there, almost almost having his arm taken away, but yep, keeps on waving the flag. Poor Barney, he's waving that flag the entire time. He's waiting for cars to come through. He just keeps on waving that flag.
All he can do is wave that flag as much as he can at the top of the mountain, and he'll greet Adam Alderton next, assuming we don't see a mistake from the young number 27 machine. Up the mountain he goes. You need to hear some very, very good pedal work and throttle work there from the 27. What's the lap time going to be? Because we know, Dane, that Adam Alderton can be quick, but is he going to be quick enough to... That's the 4:59.216. He ran a 5:07.8 last time up.
A little bit deep into the braking zone there for a tight right-left, and then onto the dirt he goes. So tricky. We've only seen one person really have an incident at this part, but it's still the part that you look at the most like, oh, it's going to happen here if it's going to happen, because it's just so easy to make this slight mistake, and on dirt it just amplifies that even more than when you're on the asphalt. Couple people out there taking a look for themselves.
Garrett Maynes working his way up for attempt number 2. We'll actually take a look at him in his sim rig and take a look at him working as well, as long as we still get to see that GoPro on the left-hand side as well. Triple screen setup for Garrett Maynes, which seems to be a relatively common theme within the rallycross space, but Dane, we saw a lot during the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series that the VR seems to be better for pro trucks, seems to be better for the off-road side, but Rallycross seems pretty traditional to run that triple screen setup.
Yeah, so the thing is with VR is it is so useful. Also, you'll see it sometimes as well on dirt ovals, where you're sideways a lot, and it really helps just to get that extra vision. Obviously, if you're in a triple screen setup, unless those screens are wrapping around you, you're sideways, say like a 60-70 degree angle, and you're not seeing anything as to where you're actually going. So having the VR headset, I know I found it quite useful when I was starting out in Rallycross, because I always used to keep my car very sideways, as most people do. In Rallycross, especially up at the top level, they're keeping the car as straight as possible for as long as possible. So VR isn't as helpful, but definitely in the pro trucks and sometimes in the dirt oval space as well. That VR headset is it's so useful to be able to see just a little bit more about what's going on around you.
Alderton comes across the line. Where is he going to slot in? And it's not going to be an improvement. 5:09.837, about almost exactly 2 seconds slower than his first run up. Back to Garrett Baines for the moment as the Ford Fiesta continues to work his way up. Robbie Swan just been released as well, and same thing with Jacob Rafos. 2 wheels for the Dirtfish Ford Fiesta as he begins his second run up. He was not successful to make it across the finish line in attempt number 1. Let's see what he's got here for attempt number 2.
I think this might be the first time I've ever seen Rafos in the Fiesta. I think it might be, but yeah, very unfortunate for him last time out, just going off, and I'm definitely looking for sideways over the crest as well, all 4 wheels up in the air. And yeah, it's awesome to see the cars sending it through. Here is all very close to the edge of the asphalt he gets, and always looks a little bit worse on the TV cameras than it does when you're on board. You can see a bit more of how in control the drivers are from the on board, but when you're looking like this, you've got no idea. So it's always a little bit more sketchy. The car always looks so much twitchier through this part now, through the left-hander, taking out all of the cones as well. It's good into the trees, and it resets itself. You sent that cone flying there. I always love looking at the dynamic objects on iRacing when you do find one that moves when you hit it. It's always good fun to try and see how far you can knock it away, but Rafos already long gone. Really sending it quickly through here. Looks like a good time. Obviously, we haven't really seen too much of all of the drivers like right at the front their whole runs. You don't really see too much of it, so yeah, through this end bit, you can a bit easier tell how the drivers are doing. And here's Garrett Maines once again. You can see that GoPro footage is fantastic.
He'll finish his lap here with just a couple of more corners left. He's tracking really well. Is it going to be enough to shave off a full second from his lap time and beat the 4:59.216 that is currently the best? We're still waiting on Robbie Swan, Jacob Rafos, and Christian Steenberg now as he begins his second attempt. 2 corners left in for Garrett Maines. Where is he going to go?
It looks like he's about 8/10 up. I'm trying to read it on the GoPro footage. He's now losing a bit of time. He's gaining again. He's gaining all the way up the hill here towards the right-hander across the line. What's it going to be? Is he happy with it? Is that a smile? It is!
4:58 triple nines for Garrett Maines. First to enter the 4:58s today.
Only just as well, but you could see a little smile sort of creeping in there right at the end as he crossed the line. You could tell that was a fast one. We'll see if anyone's going to get a bit closer to that. He's 3/10 quicker than Steenberg, it looks like, so yeah.
Robbie Swan going to be the next one to come across the line to finish his lap time. To the damage, but is that going to hinder him too much, Dane? I mean, these rallycross cars can take a beating without being hindered in any way, speed-wise or aero-wise.
Yeah, they definitely can take a beating. And I don't think it's going to affect his time now. From now on, I don't think it's going to affect too much. Maybe a little bit of concentration. You'll be thinking in the back of his head, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But definitely whatever caused that damage would have impacted his time, and with the times so close up at the top, I think every 10th is going to matter by the end of these third runs. That the drivers will be starting behind him very shortly, but getting onto the grass, kicking up some dust, and I'm trying to think of where that could have been, because I don't think there's too much. He must have just gone off and hit a tree, but it seems like it's at the front and all the way down the side of the car as well.
Christian Steenberg continuing to work his way up, as Jacob Rafos will be the next one to cross the line. Third attempt drivers have also begun their runs at the bottom of the hill. Final attempt for each of these drivers, and this will be the first lap time that Jacob Rafos is able to put down. This young Scandinavian driver in the 13, RX1 champion for Racecraft Rallycross, and he did not put in a first time. This will be the first time and the first sight that we're going to see of Jacob Rafos on the leaderboard. How nervous, Dane, do you think Maine, Steenberg, Fox, Edmondson, and Swan should be in that top 5?
Well, probably very, because we don't know. It's all very loose onto the gravel on the outside. It's going to cost him maybe half a second or so. Was that it? He slowed right down there at the end, and that is not as fast a time as I would have expected. I think he may have made a couple mistakes on that lap, I would suspect. And down to 11th for Rafos. I wouldn't have been surprised
Steenberg
to
off
see it to the top. Oh, wow.
That's a big off for Steenberg, and he's going to continue to go, but he's going to retire that lap. Jacob Rafos slotted in relatively far down the order. P11 for Jacob Rafos in the 13, and about 16 seconds off of the current fastest time from Garrett Maines. His third attempt now for David Schofield. That second attempt did not do much for him. A 5:09.143 is where he currently sits, and that is his first attempt time as he runs his way up the hill.
Yeah, already on the dirt section, yeah, and yeah, making his way through here. It's so sketchy, but doing pretty well considering the first starter. Yeah, definitely not doing too bad. He got some quick guys still behind him, but yeah, good 5:09. Definitely not shabby. As you look a little bit further down the order, you got drivers in the 5:21s, 5:31s at the end, so still a good 10 seconds on those drivers. So a good performance out there so far for Schofield, but does he have more in the tank? Is up through this very twisty. You can see how twisty it is, and there's so many bumps. You see it disappearing behind the asphalt as off he goes.
Schofield not going to make a second attempt up the hill as he goes off the track. Renato Postigo is now going up for his third attempt, and Justin Robichaux makes another mistake as well. He also goes off the side of the mountain. 2 replays here. First, we're going to take a look at what happened at Schofield.
So it's just as he comes around this left-hander, and it puts you onto what looks like a relatively straight section, but it's definitely not. And did he catch one of the cliff faces through this left-hander here, and now on this part of the stretch is where the mistake is made. Here's where we're watching him, and he goes off somewhere around here, I believe. Oh, he catches that ditch on the left, and it throws him straight off. That was very quick.
Justin Robichaux also running into an issue up the mountain. When and where for Robichaux in the 93? We go on board with him now. It was in one of the asphalt sections. Did he become another victim of slamming into the trees on the side? Let's see, high-speed section here. Was it under braking? Was it a mistake over one of the bumps? A little bit of a both there, Dane, as he just carried too much speed and goes off the side.
As he gets onto the brakes, he hits a bump. It sends the car up into the didn't brake early enough. Yeah, that's the thing with the bumps, is that they will stop your braking from the brakes from working as well as they normally would. So you've really got to train yourself to brake earlier than you think you need to, because it will be the right braking point. Just slightly too late there. Gets over a bump like that. All 4 wheels up in the air for Martel there. But yeah, very easy to do, and unfortunately sends them off into the side. Here comes Trevor Teal through the right and then the left onto the dirt.
Trevor Teal in the 72, a great run for him in RX2 this year in Racecraft Rallycross. Currently sits at a 5:21.954. 15th place, but now everybody after those second attempts in that top 15, of course, I suppose not including Danny Aish, who unfortunately also made a mistake in his second attempt, did not get fully up the mountain, so kept that 5:31.409 from his first attempt. Now everybody's separated by about 23 seconds inside of the top 15, which with the amount of time it takes to get up the hill climb, with the distance here as well, Dane, that's honestly pretty close when it comes to hill climb and rally times.
Yep, it is, and lots of airtime there for Teal. He's got 2 wheels on the surface, a lot there, and you can see the jaggedness really of the road. It's all over the place, left, right, and it's got a ditch on either side, and that's just what caught out a couple of drivers already today. And now this corner always catches people out. Teal's got a little bit slow through there. He's had to slam on the anchors. There's a hairpin that comes out of nowhere. There is no indication that there's a hairpin coming up because there's the tiniest bit of runoff on the outside, and it looks like the track continues to go along, but it doesn't. You've got to turn around almost 180 degrees, and very tricky corner to make through there. Teal just about gets away with that one, but now heading into this part, we've seen this a lot today. To the left-hander, just 2 lefts and a right to go.
And he continues to go up the hill with now Renato Postigo will be the next one after Trevor Teal to come across the line. Francois Martel, Josh Fox has begun his third attempt, sits in third, 5:01.287 the time to beat for him as Teal comes across the line for his final attempt, 5:27.57. He's gonna jump Robichaux and jump his car off the circuit.
Yep, off he goes. Just did a bit of a roll and a flip as well for style points. Unfortunately, he's not going to get any style points. He didn't do it on his run, so therefore it doesn't count. That's what I'm going to say. Fox now coming through. You have mentioned it, and I've sort of noticed it over the runs. Very rare that you see Subarus, which is a rare thing in itself when you see these rallycross cars out in action. The Subaru, it just looks a bit bulkier around the space. It's a bit wider than the Fiesta, a bit longer, and it really does make a big difference when you're watching them send it around the space. It looks like the Subaru drivers slightly more at risk of clipping either side of the road.
Josh Fox will continue to work his way up as Renato Postigo will be the next one to come across the line. Looks like problems for Toby Ward trying to get up the mountain. Toby Ward actually, I think, is about to begin his run, as we've just seen Josh Fox. Renato Postigo gonna hop 2 positions up in a 6th, 5:07.805 as Aiden Irvine will begin his run. And it does look like Toby Ward was released, had a problem early on, and abandoned his third attempt as Josh Fox will work his way up to the summit. Let's see what happened to Toby Ward, because I'm seeing an off track that he had, and he was released right after Josh Fox and before Aiden Irvine. This was early on in the attempt. He did not make it that far up the hill climb.
Yeah, no, definitely didn't. And through the left hand, and now as he runs slightly wide, no, he hasn't. Through here, now you got a right kink, under braking with a lot of bumps coming up. Plenty of bumps. That big one there, loads of airtime. The car bounces. Oh, and yeah, snags the brake, runs wide. Oh, and into the tree hard.
That's all it took. Josh Fox still looking stout as he continues the hill climb. 4:58.999 is the time to beat. Aiden Irvine was released, and now Josh Edmondson has been released for his third and final attempt. But all eyes are on Josh Fox in the number 12. Where is he going to slot in? Because he currently sits in third, but I think he's got a little bit more speed that he can get out of that Williams Esports Subaru. Question is, Dane, do you think he can get up on Steenberg and on Mains and be only the second driver to get into the 458s?
Well, it looks really quick through this part. Did the hairpin very nicely through the right-hander. There's a lot of banking on the inside of it. Cutting over onto the gravel through these right-handers. These flat out ones here. Back down onto the brakes now and through another right-hander. Right and then left coming up. And then a corner that we've seen all too much. There's a left-hander up through the twisty bit. trying to keep it as straight as possible, but avoiding those ditches on either side. Now through the left, and only 2 corners left on this run. Through the left again, over to the right. Very quick here, he's still pushing for it.
Where's it going to slot in? Crosses the line. 5 minutes flat, 3:40. He is not going to improve on position. He does improve on lap time, but 3/10 shy of joining the sub 5-minute club as Josh Edmondson works his way up the hill for the 3rd time. Campbell's working his way up. Same thing with Aiden Irvine. And the 58 was the last one to be released. The Tyler Campbell was the last one to be released. Adam Alderton's going to be the next one.
Yeah, it's definitely getting much closer here, but that might just be able to, as long as he hasn't gained a position, but he has gained quite a substantial amount of lap time, and so he could protect himself here from Edmondson, who we're watching coming up through on this Fiesta now. I could protect him from Edmondson, potentially leapfrogging him. It's literally got to gain a second, just almost flat a second, as Edmondson has to gain to get up into the podium positions there, but has to gain a little bit more if he wants to try and get up into that top 2. But those 2, Mains and Steenberg up the top, so quick.
Continues to hunt all the way up the hill climb for as much speed as he possibly can shelve out. Aiden Irvine going to be the next one to come across the line, and not the best time for him. 12th place, 5:17.6 flat for the 2:59. But that Subaru WRX STI continues to climb up the mountain, and right now, with 2 seconds separating himself and the next driver in the leaderboard, Jacob Rafas, Aiden Irvine has the possibility to jump a couple of drivers if he goes down and puts down a good lap.
Oh, he's hit the rocks on the outside. He's going to keep it going. It's got some damage. I don't know how he's kept that going. I will not lie. I really do not. But it's not going to help the cause of the lap time, and through the left hand, and now on the hairpin, looks like he's just slowing down for nothing, because the road just does look like it continues, but it does not. And you can see the damage to the right hand side. He launched over a rock and was very lucky, it looks like, because that can damage the engine, but it looks and sounds though that's not the case.
Aiden Irvine about to put down his 3rd attempt. Is it going to be fastest? Is it going to be good enough to at least jump up a couple of positions, which at this point is all he can really ask for in the race to the summit?
Oh!
And he makes a mistake towards the end and goes off and into the rocks. Can he salvage anything out of this one? And he cannot. Off the track he goes for Aiden Irvine. It won't be an improvement as Tyler Campbell starts his run up the mountain. Edmondson will be the next one to come across the line in the 58.
Yeah, been coming up through this rocky section. Wow, massive airtime there. And you can see the feet going on and on and on through in that little box on the bottom right corner. You've got to be so precise with everything, because if you get slightly too much brake pressure on over these bumps, they're just going to lock up, and it's not going to do anything for you when you land again. So really impressive for all of these drivers, especially these ones right up at the front, running in and around that 5-minute mark.
About to cross over the finish line. What's at stake for Josh Edmondson? Currently sits in 4th. 5:01.370 his best time. Can he beat Fox? Can he beat Steenberg? Can he beat Mayens? He needs to get into the 4:59s, the 4:58s if he wants the lead. Can he get sub 5-minute club? Be the 3rd driver to do it this race to the summit. Across the line he comes. Where's it going to slot him in? 5:02.602.
Oh, wow.
Not best of the day, and it will keep him in P4.
So Fox's P3 there looking not sealed in. I will say not sealed in. We've got some very quick drivers still to come up the mountain, but looking a little bit more solidified there. Edmondson was definitely one of the main people Fox would be nervous about. But what's going on there at the at the bottom with Adam Alderton. What's he got on his face? Is that a ski mask?
I think that might be
Ski goggles.
I think it's either ski goggles or it's motocross goggles.
Ah, yes, that's it. That's it.
I mean, doing his best. I can't think of anybody that wears yellow goggles. I was gonna say Eli Tomac, but I know Tomac wears green goggles, so I can't think of any Suzuka riders right now. I think he does, and I like the wave. He's doing the visor tear-offs as well.
I think he's got the broadcast on. I think he's listening to us.
Well, he's trying to use the tear-off. I don't know if he's got any on there. I also don't know how much virtual dirt he's getting on his virtual visor with a windshield as well.
Oh, a little bit deep through the right hander, but he's managed to catch that quite nicely. Almost lost the wheel over the edge, and it would just carry you around. As here is Campbell now, and Campbell with the 517 could do quicker. Oh wow, a second driver off there. He's into the rocks as well.
And he has not crossed the line yet. Campbell with a mistake. And you can see him pretty defeated there. And it was on the final corner too, Dane. I think he might have known he had a good lap run in there. 5:36.270 the final time.
Yeah, very unfortunate stuff there. Here's Alderton up towards the final sections here. Up onto the rocky bit and through the hairpin. He's going to go now. Very unfortunate there for Campbell. Second driver we've seen go off at that exact point, just clipping the inside a bit too hard. There's a bit of a ditch on the inside. You can use it to carry yourself around the corner, but unfortunately, if you do it a little bit too hard, it's going to send the car spearing off to the left-hand side of the road. And a couple corners left now for Alderton. Is this a quick one?
Continues his fight with that wheel and with the mountain. Garrett Maines released. Robbie Swan released. Danny Aish released. They're all working their way up for their third attempts. Danny Aish trying to put in a second lap time as his second attempt wasn't counted. He went off the course. Adam Alderton across the line. Where's it going to slot him in? He likes it, and it'll gain him 2 spots, a 5:07.413.
Brilliant stuff there from Alderton up into 5th, just ahead of Swan. 3 drivers on a 5:07 there. Here is Garrett Maines now. He's got the top spot, and it's a very convincing look at a lap time as well. But he's going to try and go just a little bit quicker. You can see the speed, and he's making his way through there now. Incredible stuff. All 4 wheels up in the air, over the jump, through the right hander now, and then back over to the left-hand side as well. Kicks the rear end out in preparation for the dirt. And now he's going to send it through here. You can see the steering, loads of steering input to keep the car going in the direction he wants it to. Sliding all over the place, but still making good forward progress here, all over the grass on the outside. So impressive through this dirt section here. Gets on the brakes, and he's gone a little bit deep. The car's got stuck on the outside, it looks like, and I think he's going to be faster than his previous time.
He's playing with house money, though, with 458.999 in the box for him. He doesn't need to really improve a ton here.
He's still green on his Delta. You can see on the GoPro. I didn't see that, but he's still green. So even with that, looks like he got slightly slow through there. Maybe that's just his line, but you can see the slightest bit of green. He's not a massive amount quicker, but he's still quicker, and anything is going to help him keep himself ahead of Steenberg at this point.
Jacob Rafos makes another mistake coming up the mountain. We'll take a look back and see what happened here in just a moment, but we'll see what the time is going to be for Garrett Maines first. Next to come across the finish line will be Robbie Swan, and final attempt for Christian Steenberg is green. So we'll see where the 77 is going to go, if he can improve. 2 tenths separate the top 2 right now in Steenberg and Maines, but Maines green up the hill. What's he gonna slot in? Did he make a mistake there? Did he go off track? Yes, he did! And a big mistake for Maines. That's gonna be the end of his second run.
It all comes down to Steenberg then, doesn't it? as to
Robbie
who's going to
Swan, I
finish on
think,
that top
also
spot.
making a mistake. Yes, he did. Swan also makes a mistake. So Steenberg, the last driver left. We've got a handful of replays here to Dane with Jacob Rafas. We'll take a look what happened to Mains and what happened to Robbie Swan. I'm not sure what happened here to Garrett Mains, as I'm trying to grab a replay and it just doesn't look like I can. Let's see what happened to Garrett Mains here in his off track first.
Here we go then. Through the left hand for the hairpin. Oh, so close to the end of this run as well. So it was looking really quick. What's going to gain him? He was still green when he went off. You could see on the Delta on his GoPro footage. But here he goes through the right hand, and now all is looking good at this point. It's still looking fine, but I think just about here is where it all goes slightly wrong, and just a bit too much speed through the corner. Off the side he goes, and then gets stuck on those rocks. And yeah, that's definitely run over at that point.
Here's what happened to Robbie Swan. A mistake for him ended his third attempt.
Is it on the dirt? Oh, we may have another dirt-related incident going up the hill here.
Up he goes. Steenberg tracking green as well in his third attempt. Quick through the dirt section. Goes through. Oh, and hits the side and goes off the course. And that was it for Robbie Swan. But we go back live into Christian Steenberg. Final run of this year's race to the summit. He has to beat a 458 triple nines. He has to improve on 0.2 of a second through the dirt. And it all comes down to this, Dane. What can Christian Steenberg do? Can he go 2 in a row and be undefeated in the race to the summit?
He's very quick, and the fact that he's still going means that this should be a good time, because if he's a couple seconds off at this point, he knows it's over, I think. But I think he just has to absolutely send it now through the dirt section. He gets it slowed down nicely. No sort of mistakes around this point. Just had word from Adam Alderton. He couldn't hear us. He made a guess with the wave and absolutely nailed it. Those are his words. So great to see that Alderton trying to play to the broadcast onto the rocky section now for Steenberg. Oh, it's looking so tricky out there, but nailing it through this part at the moment, keeping it on the, I would say, straight and narrow. It's twisty and narrow.
Steenberg almost to the top of the mountain. This is it, the final run, the final attempt for the final driver. Steenberg in the 77. What's at stake for him? He needs 0.2 of a second improved to be undefeated in the race to the summit. He won in 2021. Can he win in 2022? Just a couple of corners left for the 77 of Steenberg. Where is he gonna slot in? Down to 5th gear, down to 4th. Just a couple of left-handers left to go. He cannot afford a mistake here. Couple of corners left. He's tracking green. Can he best Garrett Mains through the final couple of corners and across the finish line? Is it enough? 4:58.721, and Steenberg goes back-to-back in the race to the summit.
And it'll go tumbling down the hill. 0.2 of a second separating them at the end. That is incredible. What a run. Riding on board for quite a lot of it as well there. You just see how quickly you're sending it between the rocks. That is absolutely fantastic.
What a run for Christian Steenberg, and he is the best when it comes to the race to the summit. It was Steenberg, Mains, Fox, Edmondson, Alderton, the top 5, Swan, Pastico, Martell, Schofield, and Ward through the top 10. Rafas, Irvine, Campbell, Teal, Robichaux, and Aish gonna round out the 16 that we had in the race to the summit for 2022. Unbelievable stuff, Dane. It all came down to Steenberg, and he is a 2-time winner and undefeated in the race to the summit.
Incredible. For someone that we don't see in anything else on Racecraft TV. That is absolutely insane. But he's going to be hounding on Josh Edmondson, saying, well, when's the next one? When have I got to mark in to my calendar so I can come back and take the 3 time? But honestly, absolutely fantastic. 0.2 of a second separating them at the end, and it came down to the last run of the day. Of course it did. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, we won't waste much time with the post-race show. And what a run for Garrett Maines coming up the mountain, Dane. And you'll be standing by with him as we bring him up here to the broadcast booth.
Absolutely. So nearly getting it at the end there, Garrett. An absolutely fantastic time. The first person to get into the 48 by 0.001 of a second. Also, I will say before we ask you any questions, thank you so much for the epic camera work that you've been able to give us. So many camera angles coming out of your sim rig. Absolutely brilliant to watch throughout the event. But yeah, describe what you've just been through with that event, because 3 clean runs, very quick runs. Just talk us through it.
I'm punching air right now. I have never made it up the mountain as fast as I was on that last run. I was over a second up coming out of the dirt section, threw it all away, and then found a whole second after the dirt section and proceeded to go off in the third to last corner. It's like I felt like I had that in the bag, and as soon as I went off, I was like, he's going to beat it now. And sure enough, I knew what I had to do to beat Christian, and I pushed myself to find speed that I have not found ever here. I'm just disappointed I didn't get to show it. I was this close.
Yeah, I thought the run was over when you did go a bit wide. I think it was the last right-hander in the dirt section. You just went really, really deep there. I thought, oh, it's probably over. And then I took a quick look at your GoPro screen and I was like, oh, hang on a second. No, he's still got the green delta. And I was like, he's going to keep going for this one. And yeah, just right near the end. So close. 0.2 separating the two of you. You say you've never gone faster than that. How quick to your fastest were you on that second run, the run that actually ended up counting for you?
That last run, technically speaking, these cars slowed down since last time we were here, so technically I've gone this fast. But I was tracking a 146.9 on that last lap, or 156.9, or 456.9. That's what we're looking at. 2 seconds up on what I actually put down, and I literally gave it away. Like you said in the dirt, I gave a full second of that away right there. I thought I was going off the track. And then I proceeded to obviously crash at the very, very end. And that was, I don't even know where some of that speed came from. I mean, I was just ripping through the first 3 or 4 sectors in ways I don't think I've ever done. But the dirt section, one of the apexes, I hit it right and was able to carry the throttle. But man, that one stings. I know Christian's literally the reigning champion for a reason, and he is insanely fast. When I heard what he hit last night, I was like, oh my, I don't know where that is. But I came in today, just, honestly, my mentality was, I'll be the fastest of the Fords. And then I went out on that second run, and I was actually still P1 on the board. I was, I had some confidence that just threw it away. Disappointing.
And then just a little bit of an insight to how you practiced for this event. I mean, it just looks like you just have to do a bunch of runs to try and learn every bump on the run. How many runs, as an estimate, do you think that you had to do to practice for this to get that second place?
Well, I'm pretty sure I have extremely way more laps. A high percentage of my laps are in the bottom sector. But I think once you get in tune with this track, you can warm up 3 runs, 2 runs, and you're good to go. But the first few times you're learning this track, it probably takes you 200 runs up the mountain, because you don't make it every time. And me personally, I reset every time. I go to the bottom. I don't reset to the next sector. I go to the bottom and just start over. That way I master the same sectors over and over and over, and eventually that becomes light work and you work your way up. And I don't really think I ever got to a mastery point last year when we did this, and I didn't really mess with it until we came back this time. But this time around, I was able to actually figure out what the car wanted, how I needed to drive to get that little bit of extra, not slip the tires as much and go forward instead of sideways. and I think that all clicked on that final run. I don't know. I got in there deep into one of the last sharp left-handers, and just plowed right off the track. Pain.
Well, I want to say commiserations because you were so close, but also 2/10 off the top on a more or less 5-minute run is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. So congratulations for that second place, Garrett. We hope to see you back here on Racecraft TV very soon.
I appreciate it. And I got to give a shout out to Linux, MCU Body, Colic Racing, Elliott Sadler Esports, ChevyLiners.com, and Leaf Filter Gutter Protection. Shout out to Josh for putting this all together, and thank you guys for broadcasting it. This is the only time really that the Mount Washington course gets used. So it's a lot of fun to get to come do this event, and definitely it's a workout.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Garrett. Always great to hear from the drivers, and yeah, so close there at the end. I didn't realize how much of a gap he had there, Josh, at the end, because he says 2 seconds up on his previous time. That would have been something to see.
That would have been an amazing run up the Mount Washington Auto Road. But now we're going to bring in your 2-time winner, an undefeated winner in the Race to the Summit. And it is Christian Steenberg in the 77. Christian, what a run for you. That second run up the mountain, a 4:58.721, and undefeated in the Race to the Summit. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And talk about that third run up the mountain being your best of 4:58.7 and continuous improvement every time that you took an attempt.
Yeah, so the third run, I knew that I had to give it everything because I was in second. But on the very first sector, on the second corner, I had a massive slide, so I lost a second and a half there. So I knew I just had to fully push for the rest of the run. And I managed to do that and kept the mistakes to a minimum from there, and I somehow managed to bring it back to just under Garrett's time.
And of course, the second time we've done the Race to the Summit, you are a 2-time winner. What are you already thinking for 2023? Can you go 3 in a row? And how much practice have you done up the Mount Washington Auto Road? Is this a normal track for you to bring out in hosted sessions, bring out in testing to really show what you've got up the Mount Washington Auto Road?
So I mainly really ran it a lot when it first came out, and then ever since then I do it once per season for the time trials. And then for this event, I maybe spent 6 to 8 hours practicing. But for next year, yeah, I'm not sure because I feel like I've gotten to a point where I have the optimal there. It's just whether I can keep the mistakes low.
Well, congratulations on your second win in the Race to the Summit, 2 in a row and undefeated for you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That was Christian Steenberg, a now 2-time Race to the Summit winner. Josh Fox was third best. Dane, you're standing by with him.
Yeah, well, Josh, just quickly, I mean, obviously, they're very different to anything else that we've really got on the iRacing service, but you've done a lot in, I think, WRC esports. Do you think that helped you much to learn this sort of racing style and iRacing? Because I think a lot of people on iRacing probably wouldn't have much experience with hill climb rally-esque sort of racing.
Yeah, that's right. I would say it helped quite a bit when I was first trying to learn the track, because it's much different, of course. But this year I felt like almost like riding a bike. The curve wasn't as steep, and was able to focus on optimizing a couple things. So feels pretty good to come in the second event here and run a bit faster than the first time, and I think a little bit closer to Christian's gap.
Yeah, those two up at the top, very, very fast, breaking that 5-minute barrier as well. Pretty quick last run for you as well, that third run. Were you pretty confident with it once you said it, or were you still a bit worried about Edmondson catching you up there on this last run?
Yeah, I never could count Josh out. His first run was super quick, and that was really impressive. and I think he probably could have beaten mine if he wasn't. He was pretty upset with himself for not doing it, but yeah, it felt pretty good, but still a ways to go to get up below 5 minutes, just barely.
Yeah, really, really close for you there as well. And yeah, we've only got this sort of once a year. I've heard rumors going around. I think this has been going around for a while now, but I've heard a couple more rumors of Pikes Peak maybe making an entrance onto iRacing. Do you think that if this kind of racing joined iRacing a bit more seriously, that you'd definitely be looking at taking part in that?
Yeah, for sure. The hill climb or any kind of point-to-point rally is just such an awesome driving experience. It's so much fun to go up the mountain here, and I love this kind of event you guys put on. Do a great job with it. Really glad to have a second event and be back for it. And I think maybe for the next one, it should take the average of 3 runs. That would work out pretty good today.
I also had a thought of maybe doing something similar to this, but you only get 2 runs. One is going up, one is going down. You add the times together, and that's your time. So a couple different ways that this could be done. But yeah, absolutely, it is one of the more unique events on iRacing, I think, for sure. Yeah, definitely looking forward to the 2023 version. Well, Josh, thank you so much. Congratulations on that podium finish there in 3rd position, and we'll hope to see you back here on Racecraft TV very, very soon.
Hey, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it from the Racecraft guys, and of course all the Williams Esports guys, Bank Huge, Chill Blast, Fanatec, Playseat, Team Racer, and Icing Bell Pedals. Thanks again.
Great to hear from Josh Fox there. 3rd position at the end of this event after 3 runs. He takes that 3rd spot on the podium. We go from one Josh to another Josh on an event ran by a Josh. So this is way too many Joshes again here.
How confused can you get on the amount of Joshes that are involved in Racecraft TV and the Race to the Summit? But we conclude the 2nd ever Race to the Summit. And Dane, these competitors, 16 of them, all tried to chase down Christian Steenberg. Nobody was able to best him. And this only makes me more excited for hopefully more hill climbs coming up on the iRacing service and the next Race to the Summit coming up in 2023.
Oh yeah, I also love this, like Josh Fox was just saying. Yeah, rallying stuff. I love the rally games. I've got loads of rally games. I really loved when this came out on iRacing. I did this loads in pretty much everything. I took F1 cars around here. I took everything around here. But yeah, it's very unique. It is really, really fun, especially when something like this has just come out and the drivers haven't had time to really learn it. It gets even more random and interesting then. But yeah, it is absolutely fantastic to see this kind of hill climb stuff going on iRacing. And yeah, Race to the Summit, brilliant event. Very much looking forward to next year.
And we hope that you'll join us in 2023 for the 3rd ever Race to the Summit. And will anybody be able to best Christian Steenberg? You'll have to tune in next year to find out. But congratulations again to Christian Steenberg on the win. Garrett Maines, Josh Fox head the podium for the 2nd ever Race to the Summit. We hope you'll join us for our 3rd run up the Mount Washington Auto Road. For Josh Edmondson putting the event together, for Dane Baird, my name is Joshua Lee. Thank you for joining us for the 2nd ever Race to the Summit. We hope you'll join us in 2023.